And we're live right at 7:50. I was watching the clock at 7:49, and I pushed play around 57 seconds to give it a 3 second. Because like every time when I push play, I'm always a few seconds late, even when I try to start right on time. Luckily, I started a few seconds early so that it would be live right on time, and we are. YouTube wise, Facebook wise, you are only 30 seconds late. I pushed it right on the 27-second mark. See how long it takes. Oh, it takes longer than 3 seconds, like unlike YouTube. Still loading. Let's see. Stop turning off my phone. Oh, and we're live on Facebook. All right, so Facebook people. It was 7:49, 57 seconds. I pushed live a little bit early on YouTube just so that it would be live by the time it was 7:50. Well, it did start right at 7:50, but then obviously got to start Facebook. I always do YouTube first because YouTube's on forever, so I try to get every single second on the YouTube version. I did a little problem with that in season 1, but that's okay. We don't need to have every second of the live stream on the history of social media, but anyway, I just thought it would be easier if I start on YouTube first because that will be there forever. Facebook deletes after a month, so I get a notification every Sunday when I'm about to go live saying the one you made 4 weeks ago is going to disappear on Tuesday because every month is about 4.5 weeks. So anyway, yes, you guys, I gave you. It took me 30 seconds to switch tabs on my because I have a Chrome and I have 2 internet tabs I have pulled up. One has my YouTube, one has my Facebook. It took me 30 seconds to go to minimize the Facebook the YouTube screen and unminimize the Facebook screen just to go live on Facebook. And it was coincidentally it was 7:50 and 27 seconds when I pushed yours. It took 3 seconds for YouTube to go live. You guys took 13 seconds, so it was like 7:50 and 40 seconds. But anyway, that's only a few seconds. However, I am sorry about despite me trying to throw out a warning. I was going to my grandma's today. I was hoping we'd leave at 6, which we were, but my grandma's invited the missionaries over. They had their lesson, and then they left at 5:45. So again, still thought I would leave at 6, but the family wanted to stick around and talk for a while, and yeah, it was pretty spiritual actually. We were talking about patriarchal blessings. My brother just got his last Sunday, and so anyway, we were just talking, and it turns out we accidentally stayed till 7 instead of leaving at 6. I tried to get everyone to leave at 6, but then we got distracted on a tangent about patriarchal blessings, and we got distracted on another tangent, and one thing after another. Then I tried to leave at 6:30 because Mom begged me, "Hey, if you let us stay longer, I promise I'll get 10 people to watch my live stream." Not that I don't have any faith in you guys. Every time when I'm done with my live stream, I see about 200 people on Facebook and about 50 to 100 on YouTube, mostly 50. And so I know I have at least some of you watching. I don't know what happened, but that first live stream I did in April had 300. So I don't know what's going on with you guys. You gotta come on. Who? Okay, yeah, I understand if you don't like me, but I'm trying to make some friends here. Okay. Anyway, Mom promised me 10 friends would be watching my live stream if I started at 7:30. So I decided to go with that, but I didn't send out a warning to everyone who was expecting me at 6:50. And then we got distracted again on our way out because we tried to leave at 6:30. But then as we were leaving my grandparents' house, we were stopping at the front door and talking some more. And we just couldn't stop. And then we finally left at 6:55. And I'm like, we're just going to start an hour late. Because we got home at it's a 45-minute drive, and thanks to lucky traffic, we got home at 7:30, right on the dot. 7:30, yeah. And so we got home in 35 minutes. But it takes like 10 minutes to set up the live stream. Have to log into my computer. Set up a live stream takes some time, guys. I finally had my live stream ready to start at 7:45. But I tried sending out a last minute warning. This was around 7 o'clock-ish, so you might have just didn't see the message. You were waiting for my live stream to start. But I hope after a while you looked to see if I posted something. If you can't find my live stream, then you got to check the Facebook group chat to see if I said anything, because there's probably a reason why I'm delaying the recording or why it's not starting, whether YouTube's not working or I'm just not home. luckily season 2 of Once Upon a Time, we haven't had streaming problems. We had streaming problems in season 1 that made us start late in the past. Season 2 has been avoiding those problems lately. I figured out a way around those bugs. For example, when I did season 1, I tried to schedule all my live streams in advance so you guys would keep getting notified about upcoming events. Facebook, that works for you, but YouTube people, it doesn't. Every time I schedule a live stream in advance, it won't let me use the YouTube's camera. It makes me have to get my own. I don't have my own camera. I only have the one that my computer provides me with. And that's why if this is ever low quality, bear with me here. I am not a professionalist YouTube person. I have many YouTubers I love watching, and they have such great microphones that they hold up right in front of their face. Some of them just have good, they do good without a microphone. I hope I'm one of those. If I don't look great, hopefully I sound great. If I don't, then please just do it because you're trying to be nice, and I just don't have as much followers as those other people have. Part of where they get their followerships is from Patreon. I tried doing that once. It just didn't work out. Plus, I don't think I can afford it. So, it's nice just using free YouTube and free Facebook. And yes, you can make a free Patreon account, but it's difficult. And you can do full length reactions on Patreon, which is cool. So, that would probably be cool. But no one this was meant to originally be a family marathon, and then when I decided to make it public, it's still meant for just like people I know. The YouTube one, sure, a lot of strangers are watching it, but yeah, when I'm doing this, I'm basically bringing that back nostalgia. I miss watching Once Upon a Time on Sundays. I miss the good old childhood days of getting home from a family gathering, being like, Once Upon a Time's on tonight, let's watch. And, I miss those days. And there's no way of bringing them back but to relive the episodes that we already have. If I had the power to make a new series and make ABC greenlit it, that would be cool. Though, think about this. Which is better? Watching one? Now, okay, some of you prefer this, but I like watching more. Okay? So would you like watching one new 45-minute episode a week, or an hour because of the commercial breaks, or no commercial breaks and 3 hours or 2.5 on most weeks? But today we have 4 episodes, so 3 hours of Once Upon a Time of episodes you've already seen. Well, I've invited people who haven't seen the show to watch with me as well. So yes, if you haven't seen the show, that's different. For you, I'm asking, which would you rather do? Watch the show while it's airing and only watch 1 episode a week, 1 season a year? Or are you like me and you want to do multiple episodes a week and get through the entire show in 1 year? Instead of 1 season. Oh, let's go on a 4-month hiatus. Half a season. Let's go 3-month hiatus. Oh, let's skip Thanksgiving, which I actually was going to do, but I switched it out with July because we have a vacation coming up. So next week we'll finish season 2, and then we're going to skip the last Sunday in July because of my family vacation. So I made those changes in the schedule. Hopefully you saw those. So yes, even I'm not going live every single week of the year. But when the show used to air on ABC, we would skip months sometimes. And I didn't like that. So anyway, it depends on your personal opinion. Some of you might prefer reviving the show and getting new episodes, one episode a week, 22 weeks a year. Others might like the 52 weeks a year, 3 episodes a week, sometimes 4. As you see in my bio, it says 7 out of 57 weeks are going to be 4 episodes. This is our 3rd week of doing 4 episodes. I know it seems a little more common than that, but after next week's 4 episodes, it's 3 episodes until we get to the end of the Wonderland series, and then the beginning of season 4, I think we have to do 4 episodes 1 week, but then the rest of it's 3, 3, 3. Season 5 used to have I told you season 2 and 5 used to be the big seasons with 4 episodes. That was back when it was 10 out of 56. And then I realized it was 57 weeks now, since I was able to make season 5 8 weeks long instead of 7. That way all the seasons are 8 weeks long in a way, because season 1 was 7 weeks, but we skipped Mother's Day, so that makes it 8. And then I posted a Once Upon a Time ranking video. I'm going to do something else on May 27th. And I'm going to record it in advance before vacation, so you guys have something to watch on that Sunday, on not May 27th, July 27th. And so yeah, so even though we're not hosting a live stream event, it still counts as part of the Once Upon a Time marathon because I'm at least posting some video, you know. And so yes, so because we're skipping a week in season 1 and 2, they're both 8 weeks, and with season 3 being 8 weeks and season 4 being 8 weeks, it doesn't make sense to make season 5 7. So I thought, you know what, let's extend it a week. This also means we might not end at the end of May. It might be the beginning of June, delaying the marathon one extra week, but we'll just see how it goes. I traded Thanksgiving though, and I know a lot of you would prefer me skipping Thanksgiving because you have family reunions to go to, but I chose to have the marathon on Thanksgiving over my summer vacation. So I'm sorry. We'll do it on Thanksgiving week. And plus, a lot of you probably watch the episodes on your own time anyway. But for those that are nice enough to watch it live with me, every single week it's 8 o'clock. My goodness, we gotta get started. Every single week. Thank you. I'm glad you're patient with me. Hopefully you didn't decide to watch it on your own because I started an hour late. This will keep us up. Normally this is from 7 to 10, but since it's an hour later, it's 8 to 11. I'm sorry I'm going to keep us up that late. But like I said, you can watch the episodes on your own time. Just make sure you watch them before next Sunday so that we could finish the season together. And then we'll take a break and then come back in August for season 3. So yeah, so yeah. And so yeah. And so yeah, with season 5 not no longer having 4 episode nights, once we get through the last 4 episodes of Wonderland and do the first 4 episodes of season 4, there is no 4 episodes until the end of the series. And so that's what completes the 7 weeks. You have the end of season 1, beginning of season 2, now the end of season 2 next week, so 4, right? And then end of Wonderland has 4 episodes, end a beginning of season 4, and then end of the series. That's 7. So yes, and which is all, there's also 7 seasons. So by the end of the series, I mean the end of season 7. So you know how long the show's going to be. So yeah, 7. See, it sounds like they're happening a lot because we had the end of season 1 and then the beginning of season 2 back to back, and then we had like 4 weeks of only. Well, let's see. 4 through 6, 7 through 9, 10 through 12. Yeah, we had 4 weeks of 3 episodes, and then we're going back to 4 for 2 more weeks. You know, it sounds like we're having them a lot more, but we're not. Once we finish season 2, they're going to start becoming more rare. So as you can see, as I told you, there is only 7 weeks where we're going to have to do that. So anyway, so for those who prefer the 3 episodes over 4, don't worry. They are mostly 3 weeks according to the schedule I came up with. It's just very convenient because who wants to stop when there's only 1 episode left of the season? And then who wants to stop when when like there's an odd number of episodes in the season and you're just trying, and it doesn't divide well by 3, so you just, if you have like 2 extra episodes, you might want to just do 2 sets of 4. I don't know. You know what I mean? You know what I mean. Anyway, actually season 2 combined with the specials that we're watching, because we're watching 1 to 9, we watched one at the beginning of the season, we do have 24, so we could have done 3 episodes every week, but doing that, the special we're about to watch is supposed to be watched between season 2 episodes 18 and 19. And if we'd done only 3 episodes instead of 4 at the beginning of the season, what would have happened is that we would have actually watched 15, 16, 17 today, and then we would have watched 18 special 19. And it's weird to watch a Once Upon a Time special in the middle of the night. When you watch a Once Upon a Time episode, you want to continue to see what happens next until we get through what we need to get through that night. And so it only makes sense to take a break from the show and watch a Once Upon a Time special at the right before we start the season episodes, or in this case, we're going to watch it after we watch our episodes of the season. And so anyway, it doesn't make sense to jump back and forth between a Once Upon a Time special and the actual series. It doesn't make sense to do episode special episode. I felt uncomfortable with that. So that's why, even though with 24 for season 2, we're still, that's why instead of 8 weeks, I did 7 weeks of 3 sets of 4 of season 2. That's why. Season 5 was similar, but it wasn't because of that. I just wanted to, I hate odd numbers, so I just wanted another season to be like season 2. And then I decided, you know what? I need to get over my character growth on odd numbers. So I made season 5 8 weeks. But regardless, season 2 is going to be 8 weeks anyway, because we're going to skip the last week of July, which doesn't count for season 3 since we won't start season 3 yet. Anyway, sorry, I've been talking forever. We're going to start our episodes. We don't have time for Q&A tonight, not because we're starting an hour later, but because I have a special planned. And anytime we do a special, even at our normal slot time, we usually don't do Q&A. We try to end right at 10. In this case, we're going to try to end right at 11 for those who are going to be willing to stay up that late. So yes. So yes, no Q&A. So therefore, no more talking. Let's just watch our episodes. And since I won't be talking much at the end, I'm going to just say good night for now, but don't see you next week yet. We're going to watch the episodes. So let's watch the episodes, guys. I'm so sorry for talking so much. But I already have my episode ready. I had everything ready before I started. So if you want, if you're not ready yet, hopefully I've taught you guys by now to have your streaming service pulled up before you jump on my live stream. So I'm because I'm not going to wait any longer to get started with it being 8:05 by this point. So we're Miller's Daughter is the title of the episode, season 2, episode 16. We're not covering, to be clear, for those who don't misunderstand me, we're covering episodes 16, 17, 18. I'm only saying that if we didn't do 4 episodes at all this season, it would have been 15, 16, 17, but we did 15 last week, and we did the first 4 episodes of the season together, including the Once Upon a Time special. So that's why it's 16, 17, 18, because, doing one more episode from the first week we did season 2, puts us an episode ahead. So tonight it's episode 16, 17, 18. Then we got instead of Q&A, we got a special that will keep us live till 11, a Once Upon a Time special. I did send you guys all the link to that earlier today, right before I sent a reminder that I was going to be late and start at 8 instead. I sent you a reminder, when I still thought we were going to start at 7, that about the special. So hopefully you have that link ready. But most of the time we're going to start whenever we have a Once Upon a Time special. We're going to start with that first. But because this season is weird, where they have a special after episode 18, for future seasons, you have a special before the beginning of the season and midway through the season, like exactly halfway. So with 22 episodes, where's the halfway point? Episode 11. Usually, if a season has 2 Once Upon a Time specials, like behind the scenes episodes, they usually will be at the beginning of the season and around episode 11 or 12. But season 2 is different. It's the first season with specials, and they didn't yet do the half season arcs till season 3. So they put their second special at the end of the season, kind of. And so, with that said, with season 2 being a little weird, it's the only season where we're going to have to watch our episodes first, 16, 17, 18. Otherwise, you'll be spoiled. 16, 17, 18. And then that way you won't be spoiled. 16, 17, 18. And then we'll watch our Once Upon a Time special. So don't click that link yet. Go make sure you have your Disney Plus or DVD first. But have that link on hand so we can start it after we watch our 3 episodes tonight. So yes, if you have a Miller's Daughter ready by now, hopefully, because I'm not waiting a single bit longer now. Season 2, episode 16. 43 minutes and 52 seconds is my Disney Plus stamp. I hope that's what it says on yours. That's how long the episode should be. For everyone on DVD, it's probably different because you don't have the Disney Plus credits, but hopefully you haven't played a single second of the episode yet. When I say now, we'll start, okay? 3. Oh, I got headphones on too. I plugged in headphones too, so let me put my headphones in. 3, 2, 1, now! So remember where we left off, Snow lost her handmaiden, and for revenge, she wants to kill Cora. And we just found out that Cora planned all of this so that Regina could become queen, and now we're going to get a flashback of how this came to be. So as you can see, Cora was a miller's daughter, meaning she was poor. She worked on a farm. She delivered flour to the kingdom. She was not royalty at first. And you could probably see her desperate for power, wanting to be rich and be part of the royal world and not a peasant. It's nice. They had to get a different actor because this is when she was, like, barely an adult. She was almost my age. Mhm. A peasant. Nope, she will rise to royalty and rich and fame. We all know that. Not by herself. She uses her daughter to become queen in order to be royal, but, um, we all know she planned, Snow White's danger on the horse, and then Regina saved her life, making her become queen. She killed Daniel so that Regina would be forced to be queen. You get it. Anyway, but that's back when she was a peasant. Did you expect Cora to be a present? I mean, a peasant? Put your thoughts in the comments below. We're finally leaving New York after 2 weeks. Yep, because Cora. See, Regina's even if this is evil, if you're an evil queen, what would you do? Exactly. What is the point of this, Regina? Exactly. Cora just wants more power. She doesn't love you. Exactly. That's what, that's what I was trying to say. All you need is to get Henry back. If you were a villain and you did this the wrong way, you would just need to get Henry back before Rumple died. There's no need to kill him before the poison does and become the dark one. This is what makes the distinguish between Regina's possible redemption and Cora's impossible redemption here, because she just wants more power and Regina just wants Henry. She has a good reason. She has a good thing. She's just doing it for all the wrong reasons versus Cora has a bad she wants something bad and she's doing it for the wrong reasons too. Like this I'm basically saying Cora's the more evil villain here than Regina is, and and Cora, anyone's redeemable, honestly, but Cora, um, Regina is more redeemable than Cora is at this point in the series, at least. So speaking speaking of which, I forgot to tell you. Remember how season 2 has 3 arcs? Tonight we'll be wrapping up the second arc and starting the final arc of the season, which will also wrap up next week because this final arc is shorter than the other two. It's not going to take us 3 weeks like these two have. It's only 4 episodes long, and it kind of picks up at the end of this one. At the on the last couple episodes we'll watch tonight, it will start picking up, but it's only 4 episodes fully, and then you have 2 partial episodes while we're dealing with the aftermath of Cora's death, because she will this villain will be getting rid of tonight. We had Cora and Tam Forest. Here's what I call the 3 arcs: Cora and Tam Forest, or Storybrooke, and then Real World is what I call the third one. Because remember, we have real world people that are in Storybrooke now, so, because of the town line incident from a little bit ago with Belle shot and someone driving in. That plot is not forgotten. I'll tell you that. It's coming into play once Cora's taken care of. Straw into gold. Cora's still alive. She'll find a way. Come on. In the trailer, it literally says every fairy tale has a dark side, and we're gonna see Snow be the villain in this story, in this very episode as we're watching it. So Snow White's playing the villain, guys. Every fairy tale has their dark side. It doesn't matter if they're on the hero column or the villain column. Everyone has the potential to be good and evil. So, well, let's watch as Regina becomes. Well, Regina will become good till the end of the season. But for this episode alone, let's watch as Snow becomes evil. Just temporarily, of course. But she stays mostly good in this series. She's almost never evil, except for this time and another time, which I'm not going to spoil. We'll get to it when we get to it. She does become evil besides this point. An invisible chalk. By the way, I got sunburned yesterday, so if I have a red face, I'm just looking at myself on my phone, and I do have a red face. So I got sunburned yesterday. Didn't put on sunscreen. Big mistake. Yep, everything's fine. Emma moved on from Neil. Yep. Oh, what good play, Rumple. If Snow White lets Rumple die, then Henry will find out that you killed his grandpa. Since we found out Rumple's son is Henry's father, so you would kill Rumple's grandpa if you let him die and come to his injuries. Snow White. Okay, that's a little manipulative. Because Cora's also Henry's grandma. If you can only have one grandma, which grandma would you pick, guys? Even though you love them equally and you can't choose, which one would you pick if you were forced to choose? Emma's doing the protection spell. Protect Rumple. Emma's a good girl. Good woman, you mean? She's not a child. Hey, we've seen that flashback where a man told him to kiss his boot before he was the dark one. And then he came back and killed him. That's a happy moment. Violence. Rumple. Do not kill your enemies, people. That's just as wrong as getting revenge as the enemy. We just saw it wasn't a child, Cora. Cora's so evil. She wants revenge on Princess Ava for making her apologize. Rumple's moment was from season one. Cora's moment was just from this episode earlier. Okay. Okay. Rumple had a love interest with not just Cora, but her daughter and and oh, there was one more person. Oh well. I guess Belle, but that's actually more appropriate. You have a love interest with a child, but let's say you had a love interest with the child's parent. It's like having a love interest with your father or mother-in-law. That's kind of toxic there, Rumple. No, he is a dark one and he makes a lot of evil choices. By the way, that was Prince Henry that Cora just married. That's also Regina's father. So if you didn't know that Prince was Regina's father, we just met Regina's parents at a very young age when they first met. Cora's here. The whole shop is shaking. Think about what you're doing, Regina. Well, think about what you're doing, Snow. We're talking about cold-blooded murder. You would still go to jail if it was less magical and more real world. I mean, Cora has more crimes than Snow White does. This is Snow White's first big crime. Like everyone's no one's perfect. Everyone has their own mistakes, but this is Snow White's first against the law mistake. Big mistake. That's why I call this the Dark Snow episode. Oh, here's something interesting. Cora has to choose between power and her sister. I mean, her daughter. See, that proves to you that Cora does not love her daughter. Cora did not love her daughter. She chose the dagger over her daughter. Did you just see that? Mhm. Cora looks better in the real world than how her hairdo was in the Enchanted Forest. My well, no, actually, her Enchanted Forest look was better, but I enjoy it. After knowing the rest of the show, I kind of enjoy her with just the hair down, not looking so fancy, just like a normal person with no perfect hairdo. Yeah, see, Rumple and Cora had. Mhm. Yet there is. There will be a daughter named Snow White someday. Not her daughter, different girl. We just saw Snow White's mother last episode, and we just saw her recently today, but I don't want to spoil her. So I'm gonna let you think of who Snow White's mother is in this episode. Obviously, it should be obvious. There was only one other princess here. Her name was Princess Ava. It's not really a spoiler. I They might have mentioned her name last episode when we saw Snow White's mother die, but Cora. But yeah, yeah, Princess Ava is Snow White's mother, and yes, that was so. Basically, Cora had to apologize to Snow White's mother, and she didn't like it. That's no excuse to get revenge on Ava, though, right? So you, so sometimes you're like, Cora. Regina has a better backstory because Snow White betrayed her trust, but Cora's reason for being evil, it's not. It's something stupid, like forced to apologize to someone that you didn't even. Anyway, that's not why Cora's evil, by the way. I just don't want to spoil the real reason. That's just part of the flashback. They had to get a different actor to play young Cora. I think I mentioned that earlier. So Rumple kind of had a love affair with not just Cora, but her daughter, Regina. And there was another person. I'm trying to remember. It wasn't Belle, because that's not as toxic as marrying mother and daughter. Um, I think okay, there is a third person, but she hasn't been introduced in the show yet, so I won't say anything. I just didn't think it was her though. Hmm. All right. Well, for you guys who are watching it for the first time, Rumble had a love interest with three family members, and they were all related to each other. Mary Margaret's Mary Margaret's not even with her. Snow White's gone. She's about to kill Cora. That's what she's about to do. It looks like she found her heart because it's glowing. All hearts glow, but I don't know how Rumple's spell helped her look at the right heart. There you go, Cora's heart. Snow White is just moments away from killing her. We're about to get rid of a nasty villain who has been pretty brutal this season. So once we get rid of her, things are about to get a little more family friendly here. It's family friendly now, but watching hearts and stuff, people pull out hearts, and that could be a little violent. We're gonna get rid of the Queen of Hearts, people, is what I'm trying to refer to. And it's kind of being ironic to the whole fact of villains pulling out hearts thing because she's the Queen of Hearts. Mhm. Look at all that gold. Mhm. And of course, Cora chooses power over Rumple. She never loved Rumple. She never loved Regina. She doesn't love at all. That's what makes her an easy villain target, and you can't be redeemable without love. So there will be an afterlife arc, so she will get a redemption eventually. But I'm not going to spoil anything there. Sorry for spoiling the underworld arc, but there will be one. Don't worry, it's not as violent as it sounds. But you know, you got to accept that Disney movies are in the show. And what's a Disney movie? Hercules. So Once Upon a Time does get into the Greek mythology, and Hades rules the underworld, the place where people thought you go after you died in the Greek mythology, right? They will adapt Hercules at some point, and we're gonna see all these villains that die in the show come back in the underworld. So don't worry. Just because a character leaves the show doesn't mean they're gone forever. They make guest appearances and flashbacks or the underworld. So it's not really spoiling. I'm just mentioning a place that will eventually show up in this show and not mentioning plot details. I'm pretty sure almost not every Disney movie is going to be on this show, but like the most popular Disney movies will be, except for Lion King, because that's lions. Any human populated Disney movie will be. Think of popular movies like Frozen, Moana. There's going to be appearances from those popular Disney movies. Snow White, Beauty and the Beast. We've seen those. Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty. Aw, Bill Fire, knowing that his father actually did change after he abandoned him, and now it's too late to accept that he's been better. on because he's on his deathbed. Of course, we know Rumple makes it, but the characters at this moment in the episode don't know. They know later on, but all these events have already happened, even in this fictional show. But as we're reliving it, they didn't know it at the time. No, she didn't. Exactly. That's what makes her unredeemable. She can't love. Come on, Regina. You can love. You actually love Henry though. She doesn't love you. That's fake love. Yeah. Yeah. A real family, real love is different than fake love. You want Cora to be a dark one, or do you want her to love you? Take the heart. Not really though, because Snow White cursed it. But if Snow White didn't whisper the candle over Cora's heart, then that plan could have actually worked. That's what Snow should have done. Yes, go back and get the heart, but don't put Rumble's spell on it. Put Just give her back her heart, and maybe she'd be a good person. That's another way that she could have been redeemed in the show. There will be an underworld version way, but there's this way. They could have just gave her her heart back, but I guess the writers had to kill her off because they didn't want her to be part of the main cast. And I understand she's a little too evil and too unfamily friendly and too violent to stay on the show. So Cora has to go. But luckily, they even with Cora around, they keep it family friendly. But I would say between the villains, Cora does the worst violence. I'd put Regina in like at this point, she's almost becoming PG. She's like PG-13 becoming PG. Cora is like in the radar section. I'd put her as a radar villain. She did a lot of evil things off camera, I would guess. She's a little more evil because Regina, even when she was evil, she loved Henry. Cora didn't even love Regina because she didn't have her heart. See, Cora pulled out her heart and chose to not go with Rumple. She chose she chose royalty over her Dark One boyfriend. Heartbroken Rumple. Just imagine when Regina breaks up with you. The only person you'll stick around with though is Belle. You don't have to worry about her break. Well, she actually does break Rumple's heart at some point in the show, but they end the show with them being together. So Rumple, his forever wife will be Belle. Not Cora, not Regina, thank goodness. That would be a little weird. Huh. Emma and Neil poofed into the random jam forest. Because you loved him and you didn't want to feel love ever again, since you would rather be a royal than a dark one's wife. Belle doesn't make that same choice. She chose Rumple over her royalty. Unlike Cora, Belle makes better decisions. Oh, Regina gave Cora her heart back, but Snow White already cursed it with the candle. Though this would have been a good idea now, because look, see, Cora is realizing all the wrongs of her past are wrong. She has her heart and she can finally love her daughter, but it's too late. Yep. There's Prince Henry, Regina's father, before he became bald. And then there's Cora before she became older. That's baby Regina. Baby Regina. Never seen baby Regina before. Oh, yep. Snow White put the candle on. Life for life. She also, I guess, she really didn't. Well, she did learn her mother's lesson before, but not this time. She didn't. She chose darkness. She was able to let her mother die and keep and not sacrifice someone else's life. But Snow sacrificed Cora for Rumple now, so looks like she didn't learn her lesson. Just wait until Regina finds out it was Snow White who killed her. There's gonna be another revenge plot. This time it'll be different. I can assure you. Last time Daniel died, Regina stayed evil and wanted to kill Snow White for decades. But now with Cora gone, Regina might be evil again, but it's only temporary. Because as I promised you, by the end of the season, Regina's gonna be repent pretty much. So she can only be evil for a few more episodes. No, wasn't Rumple. Wasn't Rumple. Snow White, you screw Regina's life over again. That's our evil Snow. Snow White has a dark side. She had the potential of evil and she just did it. All right, well, that wraps up that episode. Yes, it was kind of brutal. Rumple's love interest with not just Regina, but her mother too. It's a little disgusting. But and Snow White just did an evil deed. And so, can Snow White come back from it? Is she? Is she? Now, for Regina, it's hard to repent. Push the next episode if you want to. Go ahead, but don't push play yet. If you're on Disney Plus, your timestamp is 43 minutes and 54 seconds. But anyway, so yes, we got a flashback about Cora. How she became evil was not necessarily for force to apologize to Ava, but it was a driven point at the start. Um, she became evil because she took her heart out and couldn't love. Without love, it's kind of funny because I teach a mission prep class and we talk about faith, hope, and charity. Without one, it's hard to have the others. So yeah. And so anyway, I think that's pretty self-evident right there. Without love, I mean, it's not that extreme. You won't go evil, but it still serves its point. Cora, that's how Cora became evil because she couldn't love. She took her heart out. Um, so yeah, now Snow White gave her heart back, but it was after she cursed her to die. So yeah, Snow White is responsible for Cora's murder, though she was a villain and she had to be taken off the show. Killing is still against the law, regardless whether you're killing a very, very bad guy or it's just a good guy, right? It's different when you kill someone innocent. That's really evil there. That's where I put Cora in, right? But Snow White killed someone who wasn't innocent, so you understand her motives and wanting to kill her, but as they say, love your enemies, pray for them that curse you, right? Snow White didn't had failed at learning that lesson. She killed Cora, but as we continue watching the show, you're going to see how much she's going to regret it. And I'm not going to spoil anything. I know what's going to happen. It's actually something good, but before I don't want to spoil it. So without spoiling, I'm just going to ask you this question: Who do you think is you know who do you think is easy to get repent? Do you think it's easier to get Snow White to repent or Regina? Regina's been evil the longest. Snow White just barely got exposed to this, kind of evil. Like, yes, everyone makes mistakes, everyone sins, but like she's never killed before. Let's just say that, or and she's never, or at least we never seen her kill in the show. At least not someone important. And so this is her first time doing something truly evil. And is this something Snow White can easily come back from, or is she going to be evil for seasons to come? Obviously, she's not going to be that evil, guys. We are going to actually see her repentance arc in these next two episodes here. So now that Cora's dead, yes, that completes the Cora arc. But before we start the final arc of this season, we're gonna focus on in this next episode we're watching right now. We're gonna focus on the aftermath of Snow White trying to forgive herself, and it's gonna extend through episode 17 and 18 tonight. So yes, while that storyline's going on, we're gonna start picking up the real world coming to Storybrooke third arc, but we're still kind of doing the aftermath of the second arc. So that's why I'm saying tonight, as a whole, is pretty much to wrap up the second arc, but we do have a little bit of the third arc creeping in. And unlike the last two arcs that we just did, it's not going to take 3 Sundays to do it, because each season only does have 22 episodes. And if we're going to get through 17 and 18 tonight, that only gives us 4 more left to watch next week. So this last arc will only last 1 week. We'll finish it next week, the real world arc. But today is specifically the day we kind of say goodbye to Cora, Wonderland, and the Queen of Hearts until we review the Once Upon a Time in Wonderland series, of course. But for the main show alone, it's time to say goodbye to Wonderland. So anyway, yes, Cora's dead. Let's see if Snow White can repent for it. And also, can Regina forgive Snow White for killing her mother? Because Regina's going to go evil too, because she's wanted revenge on Snow White for being the cause of Daniel's death. She didn't directly kill Daniel like she did Cora, but you know what I mean. But she was evil for decades. What about killing her mother? Is this going to make her evil for decades? Probably not if I told you she's going to be good by the end of the season, right? So you're just about to see how all this is going to play out now that Snow White killed Cora. So let's just go into the next episode. 43 minutes, 54 seconds. For anyone who's watching DVD or something else, you're watching something else. So, all right. So make sure you have it at 0 seconds. We're going to, when I say now, ready? 3, 2, 1, now. No previously here. Like father, like son. I bet you're wondering what do these two characters have to do with the show? Just wait. These characters, they're not important to the show overall, but for this third arc specifically, it's kind of important. So, this little boy is someone who's in Storybrooke right now, and he's not from the Enchanted Forest. He's from the real world. So we're gonna get his story. You don't need to find out which fairy tale he is though, because he's not from the fairy tale world. He's the guy who crashed his car into Hook in an earlier episode. So we're just gonna get his flashback and how he found out about this town since he never went to the Enchanted Forest, and yeah, that's pretty much it. It's a simple flashback about a random stranger who stumbled in Storybrooke. Yes, I know. You just saw a curse wash over their tent, but that's not from the Enchanted Forest. Remember, the curse brought everyone to the real world, so the real world's going to have that purple magic too. And yes, there was no magic in this world until Rumpel brought it, but there was an exception for the curse to bring everyone here. That's how you beat around plot holes. Exactly. That is questionable. See? This is the real world because they drove here yesterday before Regina cast her curse, and then all of a sudden a town appears out of nowhere. And welcome Sheriff Graham. Do you remember Sheriff Graham from season 1? We haven't seen him since April. Yep, we haven't seen him since April. He's only in the beginning of the show. He was meant to be a main character, but then he got a big movie offer and had to leave and never come back except for this cameo, of course. I don't think and there was another cameo at the end of season 1 too, but yes. He doesn't come back in the show after this though, from what I remember. And I know the show very well, like every single episode. And I know he did come back at the end of season 1, and then his second guest starring appearance was this episode. So this will probably be the real last time we see Graham on the show. But for the first 7 episodes, he was meant to be a main character, and then they killed him off. He's meant to be Emma's next love interest, but they kind of replaced him with Bellfire and somebody else that I'm not going to spoil. Hmm. We can call him Bellfire now, since you guys know that Rumpel's son is the same thing as Emma's uh, ex-husband. See, Regina just realized that her curse worked, so you know this is the first day Storybrooke came into town. This is 28 years ago, and since this show takes place in 2011, that gives you a good idea of 1983 is where we're at. So 2 years before Back to the Future came out. She was gonna say cricket. Come on, cricket. That's weird for someone who doesn't know who's Jiminy Cricket. Mhm. There's a pencil sharpener. We know they don't have those kind of pencil sharpeners now in schools. They have electronic digital ones that are less handmade. For those who are confused, remember Charming was stabbed right before the curse was hit, and so he was in a coma for almost for about a couple episodes of season 1 before he woke up. And this is 20 years before the pilot took place, so he has to stay a coma. Mhm. For those who wanted a flashback of the first days of the curse, now you got it. You wanted to see what happened as soon as Regina came to the real world. Here you go. She's the only one awake, along with Rumpel. They're the only ones that know about the curse. Everyone else doesn't know who they are. And guess who else doesn't know who they are right now in season 2? Belle. For going across the town line, right? Pinocchio's your child, Archie. I mean, Marco. Yeah, Regina, she doesn't understand, but she later understands that the real world has its own population, and she doesn't want people to be messing with her plans in Storybrooke. That's why she had a protection spell to keep the real world out. Kind of seeing that in this flashback too. And then that protection spell wear it off in season two. So now that's our third plot. The real world is about to expose Storybrooke. This just as I'm trying to expose Once Upon a Time to people who probably missed it back in the day. Just kidding. That's not bad though, because this is actually fiction. Don't worry. No werewolves will be eating you guys tonight. Just kidding. Yeah, Regina. I mean, Rumple's a villain too. Don't trust him, but he has a point in this episode. You cannot be evil and have a family. That's not how it works. Nope. All magic comes with a price. You want to? You really want to risk losing Henry by killing Snow White for killing your mother? Come on. Didn't you learn your lesson from Daniel? You left a it left a hole in your heart, as Rumple said. In the long run. Don't you mean grandma or mother? Stop calling her by her name. And that's not her name. Snow White. True, but she just did now for the first time ever. Cora. And she's probably killed a bunch of Black Knights in her bandit days. Come on, Rumple. Pay pay your debt. Save your family. They're your family now, which he does. So don't worry. He doesn't turn evil at this point in the series yet. He does go back and forth, but he's good at for the rest of season 2. She doesn't want them in this town. But see, here's the twist about Regina's curse. Not just everyone forgot who they were, but time was frozen, which is why Snow White doesn't have gray hair at this point because she's a grandmother. There's a reason why. Regina, she's a great grandmother. There's no reason. There's a reason why she's not old and crippled and holding a cane, and it's because time moves slowly, so meaning you didn't age. And one way of doing that is, have you ever seen Groundhog's Day, where you repeat the same day over and over again? That's what happened in Storybrooke for 20 years. They repeated the same day over and over again, leading no one changing except if you were outside of Storybrooke. Leading no, you would only age outside of Storybrooke. So that's how Emma became an adult and Henry became a child because they were from the real world and they weren't affected by the curse. Emma wasn't technically from the real world, but she escaped the curse. So. Regina's getting bored. You can tell in the background. She's just bored of doing the same thing over and over and over again. The curse isn't giving her exactly what she wanted. I mean, she does, everyone does what she wants them to do, but she's getting sick of it. And so this is why, as they said before, when she wanted to get revenge for Daniel, this is where it led with her having a hole in her heart. She's missing someone that she can love that isn't the same as everyone else, that's different on a daily basis. Funny how Snow White says that. Well, she's Mary Margaret. She's a whole different personality at this point. But um funny how she says, "Fight back? Why would I do that? You just killed Cora for killing one of your friends." She kind of wants a child, which in 18 years because Emma's because this is just days after she gets cursed. Emma was a baby, so this, she does get a child in 18 years. She wants a child, but obviously because Henry's not born yet, and she can't have Henry as an adopted son, she she wants to kind of steal Owen from Kurt, which the only way to do that is to be a kidnapper or kill the father. So fortunately, I don't think you can have Owen, Regina. And of course, she doesn't end up with Owen because we don't see him. Well, he's not affected like he's not affected from the curse like Henry wasn't. So it would have not changed his day. He would have still been an adult if was able to keep Owen. But we didn't see him in season one, so we know Regina doesn't keep this boy. But would it probably what this flashback is supposed to give you by the end of the episode is to explain why he wants to come to Storybrooke when he should be someone who doesn't know about it and shouldn't know it exists. Well, we obviously know how he found out because he was there when the curse was hit, camping. But why does he want to come back? And that's what this flashback hasn't revealed yet. Exactly. Henry has a point. You used to be heroes. Why are you guys talking about killing somebody in front of a 10-year-old or 11? He said he was 11 now. He started out as 10, but he must have had a birthday in between. Apples, Regina, how funny. You made poison apples for a living. Why don't poison Owen here? Those apples aren't poison, but since you made an apple joke, let me make one. Don't poison Owen against his father. Apple turnovers. We all know that. We all know that Easter egg from season 1. I sympathize with Owen here. Oh no, I don't sympathize. I forgot he hated it. Never mind. Oh, what are you doing? What are you doing?
When are you going to answer the question?
Oh, I don't look at the comments. We're not doing Q&A today because we're doing 4 episodes.
Oh, when's Q&A?
Usually after the 3rd episode when we do 3 episodes most nights. But there's a Once Upon a Time special. So I wanted to watch it. Because next week we only have 4 episodes left of season 2. Sorry, my mom's in the room. For anyone who's wondering what I'm talking
I don't remember who Owen and Kurt
about. Owen and Kurt? That's because we didn't watch season 1 and 2 as a family. You had to watch it on Netflix and Disney Plus. We watched season 3 together. Was the start, not season 2.
My other question was if Owen ever comes back, but don't answer that if it's going to spoil.
Owen doesn't come back. What do you mean? Well, he was in the first episode of season 3, so we saw him in our first time watching Once Upon a Time, but he died in that episode.
Don't spoil it.
Well, you made me. He doesn't come back. But I'm surprised. We did technically see him for 1 episode. Sorry, guys. I hope you didn't listen to anything I said. Season 3 is going to be a great season when we get to it. Can't wait for that season. Whoa! The comments. What is Grandma saying? Wait, what do they say? I was hoping to see Graham again after this. I will be watching later after Larry is done watching his show. So, what are you seeing right now? I don't know. It depends when she said that. What I'm seeing right now, if Grandma's still watching, is Greg, the stranger from the outside, is ordering Granny's. And then wait, all magic does come with a price. Hang on. Grandma's more comments. I don't know. It depends when she said that. Okay. Oh, you were trying to turn it down. Okay. Because they would hear me echo that twice.
Yeah.
So what are you seeing right now? Let's see. All magic comes with a price. Regina and Rumple are very complicated and complex characters. There is good and bad in all the characters. There are a lot of characters in the show. I can't remember who Owen and Kurt are. Come on, I thought she watched the entire show and I got the DVDs.
Well, that was me. That's that.
Oh, not Grandma. And then you said, "Does Owen ever come back as?"
Okay, don't answer that if it's going to spoil.
What do you mean? We've seen him as an adult before we saw him as a kid.
Oh,
so we've already seen him.
I forgot about him.
Oh,
anyway, okay.
Hang on. Come back as an adult. You don't have to answer that if it spoils. No, that's past episodes.
Okay.
I was just explaining as I started the marathon that the flashback we were getting was the stranger's flashback. Why he cares about Storybrooke? What's his deal? Because he's not a fairy tale character. He's just someone randomly that just came in from the outside.
Okay. Have fun.
All right. Sorry, guys. I hope you're enjoying the show and I'm not distracting you from that. Well, now that mom's out of the picture, what I was saying before she entered, uh, I can sympathize with Owen, but I don't hate Utah. Okay, he hates his home. He likes it better in Storybrooke. True, true. But I love Arkansas. I love Mississippi. I would rather want to live there, but that doesn't mean I hate Utah. It's just I have a place that feels like Storybrooke to me, and it's not Storybrooke. It's a actual place called Boonville, Mississippi. So I love Arkansas because that was my mission, Little Rock, Arkansas. But if I had to choose one area, I choose Boonville, Mississippi because we our mission covered Mississippi, a little bit of Mississippi and Missouri and a- Alabama and Tennessee. It covered a bunch of states. Your heart, Graham. Kurt was telling the truth. Kurt knows this town is crazy. He knew that even before Emma had to figure that out, which took her a whole season. Wow. He's one of the lucky real world characters besides Emma Swan that got to know about these fairy tale characters lurking about in some town in Maine. Speaking of the child, here he is as an adult. Hmm. Now, I will admit, a lot of people, and I can understand where they're coming from. This guy is, as far as the other villains we get to later in the season, he's not as great as a villain, but he is a great actor in other projects, you know. So even if you don't like this Greg actor and you don't like his acting, you might like him in other stuff. So just thought I'd throw that out there. True. He did it in season 1 when it was collapsing. Henry, you shouldn't be playing with that stuff. You're a kid. That's too dangerous. You don't want to blow yourself up. Luckily, they will stop him before he even tries. So, Regina doesn't know that this is Owen. You know, he doesn't know this is the same kid she tried to mother 28 years ago. Technically 3 decades around. Hurry, escape Storybrooke. before they catch you. No, you didn't. See, he was a good father. How could Regina steal a child from their father? He was a good father. Kurt was a good guy, everyone. And Regina didn't, you know, like most movies who lose their parents, except Owen's not a main character here. He's just guest starring as a villain for this third and final arc of the season. And then Regina, that's not how you do it. That's not how you do it. You don't force a child to stay by taking their parents away. That's not how you do it. Yeah, see, Owen doesn't want to be taken custody like this. Regina did make the right choice, though. Instead of forcing him, she let her go. She let him go. She let the child run. So obviously that had to happen because he doesn't show up at the beginning of the main series. So and then he comes back as an adult, not only hurting Belle, but hurting Hook and a bunch of people in the process. He came back at a bad time. See, and Regina's cares about her son too much to let him succeed in this. I don't have magic, so in Regina's situation, I would just run for Henry as soon as he lit that thing up and or try to stop him from lighting that thing if I can make it in time. Henry said the same Owen said the same thing. Regina's more mature. He's not going to help Henry. Yep, he's not going to force Henry to love her because she learned the lesson the hard way 28 years ago, and that's what makes this flashback kind of important, not just to know Owen's backstory, but or Greg as he renamed himself and gave himself another identity, but Greg, Owen, whoever you want to call him by, we get to not just know about his past, but we get to know Regina learned her lesson and she's not going to make the same mistake again. You can't, Regina is reminded that you can't force someone to love you because it won't be real. She learned that when she cast the curse in the first place. The love wasn't there. and so she chose the right path this time. Not fully. There's a couple more evil things that she's going to be upset about, but by the, just as this is just setting up her redemption arc at the end of the season. Oh, see, so sad. And when you know fairy tales are real, and then when you go to the authorities, they don't believe you because it's science fiction. Which it's all just a story, but in the world of Once Upon a Time, you find it kind of feel empathy again with this kid because it is real, and they did kill his father, and the real world doesn't believe him. Even the cops don't even know there's a someone dangerous behind that protection spell. Anyone who drives through can't see Storybrooke until the curse breaks, and then the curse is lifted and protection spell's gone, and that's how we have real world problems today, unlike the past. That's not the way to go. You gotta acknowledge that your bad choices are bad. You can't just pretend it was the right thing all along. But, everything happens for a reason, so your bad choices, you know, they're part of your learning growth. And this is the ultimate moment I was waiting for. Snow White wants to commit suicide by letting Regina kill her. Okay. Exactly. Regina, you're not your mother. You will learn from your mistakes. You will repent. What do you mean you'll never learn from your mistakes? But as Regina's about to finally get her revenge after 40 years, 50, she's not doing it. She's not doing it. There's a darkness in her heart. Regina, I mean, Snow White did it. That's not true. You can repent and get rid of that darkness. You can wipe it clean. Regina, you're so happy. Can't you have sympathy for Snow White? Snow White, Regina, yeah, Regina. Now, okay, you may have thought she decided. Yeah, she decided against doing revenge for Henry, but she's still evil because she thinks Snow White's just gonna turn herself into a villain, and then Henry's gonna want to choose Regina over her because she's evil. That's not what's gonna happen, but that's what Regina thinks. And then See, I guess you weren't supposed to know that. I'm sorry, but this man is the same guy, Owen. And he's back to find his dad. I didn't reveal that part, so haha, didn't really spoil. Anyway, so yes, our main villain for the rest of the season, now that Cora is gone, is Greg. Or he's at least one of the villains. We're going to be introduced to another villain in the next episode that we watch. Um, and then starting next week, we will complete this arc, which is pretty short, obviously, with only a few episodes left of the season. I bet you're wondering why couldn't they just extend the Cora arc to the end of season 2? Well, they just didn't, okay? It was unorganized season, but they get better organized when we get to season 3. Since they can't figure out, okay, push the next episode but pause it. Since they can't seem to figure out how to extend a storyline 22 episodes long, that's when they decided by season 3 they would do half season arcs, which actually works in today's world. Shows nowadays don't do 22 episodes, they do like 10. So Once Upon a Time would work in nowadays if they only wanted to do like 11. So I mean, you got your work cut out for you there. But since shows had to do 22 episodes back in the day, they start doing half season arcs in season 3. So yes, I know this is a little messy. We started out in the Enchant Forest with Emma and Snow, and then 9 episodes later, we get into the villain stays the same. Cora survives, but we get her in Storybrooke for another not 9 episodes, 7 episodes, and then 2 episodes of the aftermath. So still a 9 episode arc, but as we're finishing up this arc, we're heading into the third arc, right? That's like 4 episodes long next week. Um, it is, you can argue, 6 episodes because we're getting Greg's flashback, and now we're going to get another villain's flashback, and we're going to, find out that they're working together. I don't mean to make that as a spoiler, but I didn't even tell you who the other villain was, so it's not a spoiler really. But let's just say we're going to be introduced to another villain in this upcoming episode, and then we're going to find out that they're working together, and that leads us into the last 4 episodes of the season. So basically, what I'm saying, these 2 episodes we're watching right now are kind of iffy. Airing wise, there was not a hiatus. The winter finale was episode 9, of course, yes. But then when they came back in January, this is the one. This is a season that aired in January. Just season 1 and 2 aired in January. It was season 3 when they went from September to December, and then you had to wait till March through May to watch the last half. But with the first 2 seasons being a less arcish, they did do some February and January episodes, but you still had to wait like a month from the beginning of December to the beginning of January. So yes, you had a little break between the arcs. There was not a break between episodes 16 and 17. So this is why I argue, according to ABC's scheduling purposes, these 2 episodes are part of the Cora arc, but they're also starting the next arc at the same time. So yes, so this episode will be the last episode of the Cora arc, even though it's starting to focus on the real world now. Um, it's technically still the Cora arc. Once we watch this last episode for tonight, it will all be the real world arc next week. But it's only going to be next week because this real world arc only has 4 episodes left before we get into season 3. So yes, next week we will finish the season. But okay, for now we're going to watch episode 18. Remember how I said at the beginning of the season we would see Pinocchio again, but it wasn't going to be until the end of the season because of all these other storylines we had to focus on with Cora. Now that Cora's out of the picture, this is a Pinocchio based episode. This is when I told you the episode would come in. And so the reason why we're not focused on the real world quite yet, we got to do a quick Pinocchio redemption arc episode, and then we'll get there next week. But don't forget, we have a Once Upon a Time special after this. So this is not our last one for tonight, but it's our last show episode tonight. It's our last one of the actual show. I have a special behind the scenes episode instead of our Q&A that we're going to watch after this. So, all right, if your timestamp's at 0, it's 43 minutes, 54 seconds. Otherwise, it's hopefully you haven't played a single second on your DVD yet. We're going to push the episode in 3, 2, 1, now. And again, no flashback. I mean, no previously. There is a flashback. No previously on Once Upon a Time. We only had that on the first episode of the night. 8:15, the famous clock time for Once Upon a Time when Henry and Emma arrived to Storybrooke. It was 8:15 p.m. Look, it's an abandoned trailer. What does that have to do with this episode? What a title sequence. He's turned into wood. Remember August? We haven't seen him since he made one appearance in episode 2 of season 2, but we just saw him laying in bed. He hasn't officially talked or compiled to the plot since season 1. Exactly. Mhm. And just as Emma leaves, she finally gets out of bed. Exactly. You can't just go back to the Enchant Forest and pretend it didn't happen. We haven't been to Granny's hotel in a while. Yeah, the police will just put his butt in jail. Hook in jail. You're bringing more people to the real from the real world to Storybrooke. This is not good. Please, FBI, we have a mysterious town full of werewolves. Come over here. The truth is hard to swallow. Tell your girlfriend the truth that you're a fairy tale character. She's gonna break up with you, even if that is the truth, which it is. But don't say that in real life. Snow White shooting arrows at a tree, playing target practice with an awesome rock and roll song. Boom, boom, boom. Let me just reply to these messages so people know I answered them. I know we're not doing Q&A today, but I'm just gonna reply to them as we're watching. I not see. Okay. So Snow White just found Pinocchio hiding in the woods. Yep, and he's completely wooden. Yeah. Well, the real world doesn't believe in fairy tales. Remember how Emma didn't see Pinocchio's leg believe? If you show the real world a wooden leg, they're not going to see that. They're going to see a real leg. And then if you stab it with a knife, they're thinking you're bleeding to death. So, yeah. By the way, I'm busy trying to answer some comments on Facebook. So I'm not actually seeing what's on the episode right now, but I already know just by hearing it what's going on because I know the show so well and I know the plot detail by detail. So just by the sound of their voices and knowing what's going on, I know what's happening without seeing it. Seeing isn't believing. Believing is seeing. I believe I know what's happening on the show right now as I'm trying to catch up on these comments my grandma sent me. I did answer them, but who knows if she's watching at this point in the live stream. So I'm going to just reply to them over text on Facebook right now. August, if only you knew what Snow White just did. Killed the Queen of Hearts. She needs redemption now. Oh, Pinocchio is too scared to face his father. I have no idea how to spell Pinocchio. There we go. Tamara's not going to believe you, Neil. Nice try for telling the truth, though. I give you brownie points for that. So I'm not gonna respond to mom's comments because I was just basically talking to her as I was hosting. That's why you saw me talking. You were wondering who I was talking to because it didn't seem like I was addressing you guys. So I don't need to respond to mom's comments. All right, that looks like it wraps up everything. Uh, I should probably resend the link to our special tonight. Yeah, Greg, it looks like you come from experience, or should I say, Owen. No comments on YouTube, just Facebook. I just need to copy and paste the link to the special episode we're going to watch after this. Regina! Regina! Calm down, Iago. Tamara was spying on them. She knows they're looking for August. Maybe that gives you a hint of who our other villain is besides Greg. You can't trick the dragon. He knows that fairy tales are real. He's one of the rare people in the real world that know that. All magic comes with a price. That's a lot of money. I hope by going on YouTube, I don't mess up. I don't mess up my live stream. All right. Hopefully, you guys have the link for the next episode when we're done with this, because it won't be on Disney Plus. Back now, I can watch the show again after catching up on all the comments. Sorry, no Q&A tonight. Not because we're starting late. We're still doing our 3 hours, but we weren't going to do it anyway when we were originally going to start at 7. Pinocchio doesn't have the 10,000 American dollars, so he's going to steal this girl's money pretty much to turn himself into wood. That's his plan. To prevent himself from turning into wood. To prevent himself from turning into wood. Sorry if I'm not speaking clearly. That's the first time cancer appears in the show. Tamara has cancer. That's why she went to the dragon for help. Dragons are not human dragons. He's not really a dragon, but a human dragon. His name is Dragon. Um, is not real, so don't try to look for that if you have cancer. Go to doctors. August, remember, you're Pinocchio. What did the blue fairy say? Be selfless, brave, and true. Be a good Christ-like character. Don't steal that money. Oh my goodness, he just stole it, and he's on the run. What an It wasn't Snow. It was Tamara. They knew each other. We saw that in flashback. Tamara's the villain. It's not a spoiler anymore. Tamara's the other villain. Though now it would be a spoiler having you known from last episode that she's gonna work together with Greg. But there's actually something else I didn't say that would be spoiling, so I'm not gonna say it. So the cliffhanger is still Valiant when we get to the end of this episode. You have it, but you shouldn't. But it's not your money. Temper. That's just temporary. Exactly. That's a true statement. In a lot of the show lessons we've seen in the show where people are in danger and the only thing they can do is The only thing they can do to get out of it is to cure themselves. That's we've seen this with other people. So the only way Snow White can uh, overcome and repent is by doing it herself. So I remember another scenario in season one, but which the lesson's coming back again. They teach you this over and over again. The way to cure yourself is to do what the Blue Fairy said: no stealing, no lying, no cheating. Be selfless, brave, and true. You have a symptom that will prevent you from turning into wood for a short time, but it's not permanent. Poor Pinocchio. She cured herself in the wrong way. She's evil. Don't you failed into temptation before, Pinocchio. Don't make the same mistake. Resist this temptation. Be a hero. Do not leave Storybrooke. Save your people. Let them know who tomorrow really is. Yeah, Neil's not the villain here. She's not working with Neil. She's working with someone else, and we all know who that is. Because I accidentally said it in the last episode. Neil's a good guy. It's not Neil. It's evil salvation, though. Don't dig it. Haha. This is when Regina finds out. Even earlier when Regina was in the diner, didn't say this because I was talking about something else, but I was gonna say Regina. Mhm. Yep. Regina. See, I told you Regina was gonna catch on that she probably knew him before, but couldn't figure it out, and now she did. Yeah. All grown up. Yep. Because you're an adult, not a kid. That's that's because the curse stopped aging for 28 years. To cleanse for the skin. Of course, that's your real world. That is true. People can't just disappear. In Storybrooke? Probably true, but not like permanently. If you kill them, they go to the underworld. If you send them in a portal, they are in another world. You can't really get rid of them. Only in Storybrooke. You can get rid of them in Storybrooke, but they're somewhere else if that's the case. Oh, Snow! He's apologizing. You hit him in the face. Ugh, evil Snow again. That is true. Think about it. Yeah. Well, that's the cabin, all right. They found it. The trailer. What guys? What would you do in his shoes? If you were, if something evil was coming and you wanted to protect your child from it, um, would you force someone to lie so that they could, and only two people can be safe from this curse? Would you force a fairy to lie so that you could put your child in a safe box and risk having another child grow up without a mother? Would you make the same choice? Probably if you were in this guy's shoes. See? This proves that Snow White's not alone. Even a good, old, kind 60-year-old person can make a mistake and sin. And that in that case, that's Marco. That's Pinocchio's father. He made a mistake. He told the blue fairy to lie. This is when Snow White believes in redemption because once Pinocchio and his father come with open arms and they forgive each other for what they did, then maybe that will teach Snow to forgive herself for killing Cora. And that's what wraps up this Cora arc. Hmm. Hmm. And this is how the dragon died. Don't worry, he has a comeback. And it's not underworld related, as I said with Cora. He has a comeback, and this time I'm not going to spoil how. Well, that's she killed the dragon, but did she really kill him, or did that just knock him out for a little bit? Her laser does kill people, but sometimes it doesn't work. Keep that in mind when we get to later seasons, because this guy shows up in the present at some point. That's just flashback. But for now, until we get to that season, because it's not going to be season 3, until we get to that season, say goodbye to the dragon, who had only one episode appearance. Mhm. And now we know Tamara's story. She wants to destroy magic. She wants to find it and destroy it in this world. Mhm. Destroy it in this world. See, to Pinocchio made the right choice. Instead of running home to Tamara's apartment and getting the magic cure, he chose to cure himself permanently by being selfless, brave, and true. Yep. Way to go, Pinocchio! You made the right choice. You were selfless, brave, and true. And except Tamara beat you to it, and now you're electrocuted to death. So, but your efforts will not be wasted because now maybe the blue fairy can save your life. she's, she's. Oh, they didn't get to find out that Tamara was a villain. Man, August. Maybe your efforts weren't fully wasted because at least Emma knows you tried to warn her about something. We'll find out eventually. We have 4 episodes. This arc will not last. Hmm. Blue Fairy knows when to enter the show. Hmm. Unfortunately, this is kind of like going to someone's funeral here. Have you ever heard of amnesia? See, she might have turned him back into a real boy, but he's a real boy, not a real man, so he doesn't have his memories of being Pinocchio in the real world. Just he has his memories of the giant whale and stuff, but that's his last memory. Everything from the curse to the present is forgotten. So he doesn't even remember like having a love interest with Emma in season one. Oh, that's sad. It's happy but sad that we don't have our old August back. He's just a boy now. And Tamara saw it. Pinocchio. Do better this time, Pinocchio. Oh, tomorrow's like, oh, I hope he doesn't remember. I hope he doesn't remember. Sorry. He has amnesia. But his efforts still paid off because at least he's a boy again. That's better than being a dead wooden puppet. Yeah. Aw. Yeah, it's happy and sad at the same time because he lost 30 years of his life. He doesn't remember it. He doesn't remember the past 30 years of his life, but you know what? It is what it is. At least that's better. Being a little boy again is better than a dead wooden puppet. And they don't even know that Tamara's a villain because Pinocchio died. But but that's not the point. Pinocchio tried to do the right thing, and that's what counts. That's and this is how Snow learns to forgive herself and repent from Cora's for killing Cora. So you know, which wraps up the story arc. Except actually, which we saw at the beginning of the season. Oh, how everything comes full circle. So, beginning of season one, Charmin woke Snow up from the curse, and then we saw that again at the end of the season. Not at the end of season two, but at the beginning of season two, August sent a postcard, and now we're seeing how that came to be in episode 18. We still have four episodes left, but that's still kind of the end of the season. Now you can understand the full story with Neil, Henry's father, Rebel's son, and August, and why we saw Random Man at the beginning. All the cliffhangers of season one, beginning of season two, have been resolved. Except we still have 4 episodes left before we get into season three. This is an important scene, and I'm going to shut up. Aww. See, even Emma learned from August's mistakes. She decided to finally apologize to Henry. I'm sorry I lied about your dad. I'll never do that to you again. And now we're going to see Snow White repent for her mistakes after we saw Emma and Pinocchio. Yeah, he had to start all over as a little boy again. I hope Snow White doesn't have to do the same thing. We don't want to see her as a little girl. Exactly. You're not him. You're not Regina either. You're not going to be evil. You're not going to turn evil, Snow. You're better than that. You're not going to be a kid anymore. There is another way to repent. You don't have to make the same sacrifices Pinocchio and Regina have to make. Hmm. And yep, she has the purest heart and she's fully forgiven. This is called her repentance scene, I would say. She feels good now. Except before we get into tonight's episode, here's the cliffhanger that you already kind of know about because of me. Greg is working with Tamara. Neil's fiance is actually married to someone else in private. And they're working together to destroy magic. That's our plot for the rest of season two. Goodbye, Cora. Hello to our new villains, Greg and Tamara, from the real world, not fairy tale villains. Real world villains. Are they going to call the FBI? Are they going to get magic exposed? I don't know. I do know, but I'm not going to tell you. So that wraps up our episodes of the Once Upon a Time show. Like I said, we have a Once Upon a Time special to get to. And so you can turn off your Disney Plus or DVD, whatever. I sent you guys a link in the chat. I also made a post about it. Pull up that link and we will start watching the episode. Now, most specials we'll watch at the beginning of the night before we get into the episodes, but this specifically came out between episodes 18 and 19. So if we would have done that, you would have been spoiled on what happens in episodes 16, 17, and 18, which is why I didn't want to do that. Now, I could wait and give you guys a week and do this next week, but the reason why we can't is remember how seasons have 22 episodes, and with there being 21 in 7 weeks, it doesn't make sense to end the show right before a season finale. I told you some weeks we were going to have to do 4 episodes. We're not going to do 5. So since we have to do 4 episodes next week to finish the season, the reason why I'm not saving the special for next week is because we already have 4 episodes lined up for next week just to finish out the season. And then I'm going on vacation, so we're not going to do any the week after that, which gives you 2 weeks to catch up if 4 episodes is too much for you, right? That's good, right? And so anyway, we can't watch the special next week because that would be 5. We have to watch it today. So this is why we're doing 4 episodes today. And next week is because I have a special for you guys to watch with me. And then next week we already have 4 episodes of the actual show to get through. So anyway, we got to watch the special tonight. It's not normally something we watch at the end of the night. We do it at the beginning. Otherwise, there's no special and we do Q&A at the end, right? Normally we don't do a special, but season 2, like I said, it's not the half season arc thing. Because like with season 3, when we separate the 22 episodes in half, you got 11. And if you put a special at the beginning of episode 1 and count that as one of your 3 episodes, right? Then you technically have 12 episodes, which can easily be divided by 4. And that's how you get 3 every week, right? And do the same thing with episodes 12 through 22 with a special before episode 12, right? It works. It just works that way. But season 2 is not those half season arc ones. And so it's a little messy and it's hard to organize. And like I said, the reason why I didn't do just 3 episodes to begin with when we started season 2 is because we would have had to then watch episode 18 special 19. And I felt that was unorganized. I'd prefer to watch 16, 17, 18 special. I don't like watching a Once Upon a Time special in the middle of our night. It's like taking a break from the actual show. No, I like to get all the episodes done in one setting that we watch every Sunday night. And so anyway, I prefer watching it at the beginning or the end of our 3 episodes. And so anyway, it will always be at the beginning for future specials. But this one we're going to watch right now at the end. We're going to start it now because it's already 10:28. I've been talking too much in between episodes. And by the time we finish this, it will be 10:10, so 11:10. So sorry for not being done at 11 o'clock as I promised, but we're going to start now so we can be done and you guys can get to bed. All right, so I hope you have your episode ready. It's called The Price of Magic. I'm not going to talk too much this time because this is supposed to be a recap of everything that's been going on. If you prefer to click off now, just remember to watch this before we watch next week's episodes. Because this will give you a good because a lot has happened in season 2. Maybe you're having a hard time keeping up. Maybe the family tree is a little too confusing. Maybe you're already lost in the show. This will help you get back into the show if you've been lost already with everything that's been happening, all the plot twists and stuff. Because 3 arcs is a lot for one season. And so anyway, likewise, if you need to recap everything we just went through since the curse broke, that's this right here that I'm about to push play on. It's a YouTube link. I made it. It's only free in 3 separate parts, but I've, without copyright, combined the 3 parts together and put it on my YouTube channel. I sent the link on a post. Hopefully you found it. I also sent in the chat. Hopefully you clicked on it from the chat. The total runtime, it doesn't matter which version you have because this is YouTube, so it doesn't matter if you have Hulu, Facebook, Disney Plus, whatever. Everyone watch this on YouTube. YouTube's free. Come on. And this episode is free as well. It's for everyone. It's 42 minutes and 26 seconds. It says 27, but once you click on the episode and you pause it and before you push play, it changes to 26. So anyway, as long as it says 42 minutes on it, you click the right video. All right, we're going to start this episode in 3, 2, 1, now. The Price of Magic, our Once Upon a Time special of the night. Sorry, I didn't want to talk while he was dang, he was narrating. I forgot to tell you who's hosting this special. I'll tell you in a minute. See, I told you it was 1983. Yep, no cell phones back then. Okay, I don't mean to be disrespectful to the writers right now of the show, but now that they're talking and not the host, I need to say this. The one hosting our special tonight, he's the actor who plays King George, the villain from Charming's evil father, you know? He Sidney Glass did our first special at the beginning of the season. He's hosting King George is the one hosting this one. So they're all kind of recapping season 1 as well for any new viewers that didn't see the first special. This What separates this one from season 1 special is we didn't meet the writers, and we're getting a little recap on season 2, what we've seen so far, which is episodes 1 through 18. See, they just recapped all of season 1 in 3 minutes, and they're gonna spend the other 40 minutes talking about season 2. Yep, that's how season 1 ended, and now they're gonna give us a recap of everything that happened in the 18 episodes we watched on season 2. Yeah, exactly, that's why this says The Price of Magic, that's why this episode's called The Price of Magic, it's about how magic comes with a price. Yeah, yeah, yep, and they got framed for murder, right? Remember Emma and Snow when they came to the Enchanted Forest, they got framed for murder after the curse. This is after the curse. Yeah. Yep. We got to see the Enchanted Forest in present day in season 2, isn't that amazing? Unlike season 1. Uh, those were characters we met for the first time this season. Captain Hook, Mulan, Aurora. A fake Lancelot. We will see a real Lancelot in a later season, guys. Yep, and I'm sad we're not gonna well, I'm not sad, I'm glad we're done with Korra. The villain for season 3 is so much more interesting, less violent. It's pretty cool. More interesting but less violent. I bet you were wondering, how can someone be more interesting and less violent? We'll find out in the next scene. Emma Swan. Okay, I said I wasn't gonna talk about this, so you can listen to everything that's going on. And it attracts ogres. Yep, Emma didn't know that. What a cool character develop. What a cool plot twist. Gotta hit him in the eye. 28 years ago. Yeah. And then this is when we meet Anton the Giant. Remember that? Mm, yep. Tom's sister. This is a sad scene. Even I cried when we reviewed this back in a month ago. It's kinda sad. So I never got to see Emma grow up. It was a sad scene for me. And come back and hit us again in season 3 too. It's sad. So I can talk about it a lot. We never saw our daughter grow up for stabs of her spurts. Yeah. And now they're jumping to the end of the first arc of season 2 already, and we're only 7 minutes in. They could probably recap the whole thing in less than an episode if they could, but nope, gotta keep it 40 minutes, people. So now they're recapping episode 9, which we reviewed at the end of June. So, yeah. Shannon Forest is not the only fairy tale world. Yeah, yep. Wonderland's a fairy tale world. There's more than one. That's what the writers are saying. So, unlike the last special, we did not get introduced to the writers, and it was only recapping season 1. Now you have 2 seasons. Mhm. So, yeah, welcome Adam and Edward, your favorite writers. If this is your favorite show, these are your favorite writers of your favorite show. I haven't kept up with these 2 since Once Upon a Time ended, other than knowing that they're trying to make a Beauty and the Beast live action spin-off series, but every project they made after this has kind of been canceled and failed. They tried to do another fairy tale show similar to Once Upon a Time called Epic, but by the time they got the pilot in, ABC canceled it before they can even air the pilot episode, so I was so much looking forward to their next fairy tale idea, but it failed. So this tells you that if they try a fairy tale revival, it's not gonna work. So it's kind of they were lucky to get this one running for 7 seasons, but they're failing at more fairy tale shows as they're trying to continue their career. So this tells you that that kind of like Lightning McQueen and Cars 3, their writing days have come to an end and they're failing at their future projects right now. So I mean, I am keeping up with them, but I haven't watched a single thing that they made since Once Upon a Time because they keep getting canceled on shows that I'm interested in. And anything anything any show they're writing on right now that is succeeding, I'm not interested in, and they only lasted 1 season anyway, so they haven't been successful since Once Upon a Time ended. It's kinda sad. I feel bad for the writers. I hope I can live up to them and bring Once Upon a Time back. That'd probably be a good career. So I also love Back to the Future and love to do a time travel movie. So can I have 2 lightnings in a bottle? Fairy tales or time travel? Which one do I want? Can I have both? Yep, yep. You can control them or kill them. Yep. We're still kind of recapping season 1 flashbacks because this flashback was not in season 2. But, Daniel's death did impact Regina's character a lot in a bad way. Yep. Killing Daniel, magic comes with a price, and for killing Daniel, Cora got trapped in Wonderland just days later. The flashback of Cora getting trapped in Wonderland was season 2, but the flashbacks that are out of order, these 2 were almost one of the same. They were just a few days apart and 2 seasons apart and a few episodes apart since Cora killed Daniel at the end of season 1 and then went to Wonderland at the beginning of season 2. We are gonna be done with Wonderland in this show, but not in another show. So don't quite say goodbye to it, but for now, say goodbye until we do the other show, to Wonderland. Yeah. I'm guessing Mhm. It's not just King George who's hosting this event, it's, Adam and Edward. They're kind of explaining things too, I'm realizing. So, let me be quiet and let Adam and Edward and King George do the talking. I'm so sorry, guys. Cora represents the darkness, Emma represents the light. That's good versus evil for you guys. Just because I'm not talking doesn't mean I can't make one 5-second comment every now and then. Jump! See, you can see the transition. This is part 2 of the special, and I combined all 3 parts, so you don't have to worry. There was a little black there. Yep. Regina saved Snow White's life. See? She even tried to be good back in season 2. Just because Snow White killed Cora and she's being evil again doesn't mean she can't become good again. She tried earlier. She saved Emma and Snow when they were coming back to the Storybrooke. Mm. Exactly. Even though we watched Regina do bad things, there's good things she does that help you root for her to be a good person and not a villain, right? Don't root for Cora though. She's evil through and through, but Regina, she has redemption on her side. Unfortunately, as this recap continues, you remember Cora found even though they defeated Cora in the Enchanted Forest, Cora found a way to sadly still. Yep. The price of bringing magic to Storybrooke means if you leave, you forget yourself all over again. Forever. You're not just temporary until Luna breaks the curse. No, they forget forever. So never leave town once the curse is broken. That's what I learned. Exactly. Rumpel, if he went to go find his son at the beginning of season 2, he would remember who his son was. just realized we haven't seen Hook at all in our 3 episodes tonight, and so just to have a recap about him in this special that we're watching right now tells you that, like I said, Hook is only guest starring, but he becomes a main character by the end of the season. So we will see him in every episode after next week. But the reason why we didn't see him at all this time is because he's still guest starring until we finish the season, which will be next week. But yeah, I just found that interesting. We haven't seen Hook at all, and now we're getting a recap on him. Where was he in our tonight's episodes? This will be the last time we don't see Hook, though, because he does come back for the final episodes of the season, and then he stays every episode on the show beyond that point. Even if he misses like one episode, he's going to be on every single Sunday after tonight. He will be there next Sunday, and then he's going to be there every Sunday after that. So for those who love Hook, worry not, he's not going to disappear anymore. Starting next. Now we're talking about the second arc in season 2, and we're only 19 episodes in, so that means half the episode is heavily focused on the things we just watched in the past couple weeks in July. Mhm. And he exact revenges on Mela for leaving him. Yep, Rumple's very violent. Yep, yep, you had him in it. Sum it up there. Hook is someone who likes killing people and cutting their hands off. Yep. Hook is born because of Rumple. And he's the crocodile, Rumple is. And how does Hook get his revenge on Rumpelstiltskin? He shot Belle across the town line, and ever since then, even till now, Belle hasn't remembered who she is. So that will be a relief when we watch next week's episodes to get our memories back. Because I told you she would forget for the rest of the season. So and if you miss Belle, for anyone out there who misses Belle, put a love in the comments. Oh, not only Belle got shot across the town line, but Hook got ran over by a car, and this is how we got introduced to Greg. Remember? We didn't know he was Greg back then, but in this recap, we know, right? For those new people out there, we're exactly halfway through the episode. Woohoo! 20 minutes left, and then we're done for the night. 20 minutes left. Yep, the world just came to Storybrooke. Study it to death. That's how I quoted Grumpy, is because it's in the special, and I watch the specials a lot. Destiny Awaits. What a great title for this section. Aw, we just saw Pinocchio just an episode ago. Yeah, this is great. We're recapping his adulthood and childhood at the same time. It's kinda cute. 'Cause it's sad that he's a child again. Emma did grow up in a life of a crime thanks to Pinocchio not watching out for her. And this is how we met Camille, Emma's boyfriend and Henry's father. Yep. Pinocchio found Neil and told him to leave Emma. Hellfire. Prosecution. And that led Emma to have the destiny. Yep. Family is something everyone needs and everyone is looking for, right? I'm looking for a wife to create my own family, and I'm happy to be born in one that I already have. That's what this show is centered on. It's on family, hope, faith, and despite its sometimes violence, it's, a good show. It's probably, in my opinion, the closest fictional thing to, like, the scriptures and stuff is Once Upon a Time, but not, aside from scriptures and stuff. This has definitely given me peace back in my childhood. Yep, we saw that last week actually with 13, 14, 15. Remember the big plot reveal of Rumpel's son being Emma's father? I mean, Henry's father? Emma's boyfriend. They didn't actually get married, so it's not really ex-husband, but Henry's father. Exactly. Yeah. This was the biggest plot twist, and I can't believe we're reliving it in this recap. This was so emotional last week. Ouch. Yes, it was. Thanksgiving Woodstock. Because, Regina is Henry's mother, but also Henry's great grandmother, and confusing. So how can you have a Thanksgiving meal if you don't know who when being related to family is being confusing? We actually just talked about Thanksgiving earlier about how I wasn't going to skip Thanksgiving because I'm skipping a vacation instead. But yeah, Thanksgiving would suck on the show because of all its complications. Make sure you invite Rumple because he's Henry's grandfather at least. And just as we saw in this recap, got Rumple got stabbed in the chest, and we saw the aftermath of that in earlier tonight. Snow White. Snow White's mother. Actually did see a younger version of her earlier tonight. She was Princess Ava, for anyone who doesn't remember. They didn't, you know, saw her death last. Yep, Snow White's mother died. That's sad. Yep, and it was only just tonight that we got the flashback of what it meant to be a Miller's daughter. It is officially 11 o'clock now, but this episode has 10 more minutes, so the only reason we're going overtime is because I talk too much in between episodes. But 10 more minutes for those who are still hanging in there. 10 more minutes left. At least next week we'll be able to start at 7, I hope, and then that way we end at 10 instead of 11. But, yeah. Sorry, I know we're still in the middle of this episode, but I'm looking at the viewership and, right now I only well, YouTube-wise, I just saw 2 people leave and 1 person jumped back on, so it's like saying there's 10 minutes left. Stay in there. Yeah. Cora framed Regina, remember that? One thing I realized is most of our flashbacks tonight were mainly about what happened right after the curse was cast. We got to see the very first few days of Storybrooke, and then we got to kinda see what was going on when Emma first arrived to Storybrooke. While the pilot was happening, Pinocchio film Mara, and then the only kind of forced flashback we had was Cora's trip to evil. So, I just realized we had a lot of 1980s and 2010 flashbacks in the real world lately. Returning home. Now we're getting to the point of the recap where it's, um, it's pretty much to what we watched tonight, and the reason why I didn't want to watch the special first is because now it's giving us the spoilers of what you would have got if we didn't watch the show. So yeah, yeah. So yes, now Rumple's reunited with his son. He's poisoned. He's coming back to Storybrooke, and now we're seeing the results of Snow White wanting to save Rumple, Henry's grandfather, by killing Cora. Yep. And so she turns evil, evil Snow. We just saw that, right? Now we're recapping what we just saw. So yeah, she cursed the heart, gave it to Regina, and ended up killing Cora in the process. Yep, which ended our Cora arc for the night, right? Cora died. Aw. And it's because of this, the special that just said King George just said the King George just said that Cora just realized the love she had for her daughter that she denied for so many years. This is how I know Cora loved her when Snow put the heart back in, but it was too late because Snow had already poisoned the heart and caused Cora to die. Probably the best cliffhanger that we had tonight was seeing Regina wanting revenge on Snow White for killing her mother. And so that was probably quite a big cliffhanger. Okay. Yeah. So now, because we that wasn't the only episode we watched tonight. We watched Greg's flashback and Tamara's flashback. They're recapping that really quick, and then this episode will be over. So Greg, and they're telling us a little bit about him. Yeah. Yep. Which we did earlier. Greg was Yep. When Regina cast the curse, she trapped everyone in a place right by near a campsite, by Hawthorne or something. Yeah. This is when we found out Greg was not Tamara. Um, exactly. Yep. In which 18 years later she found Henry and Adam and Edward. I can't top what they just explained. They explained it well. Owen is Greg, who's been looking for this town for a long time. Yeah. Now we're explaining tomorrow. They are moving on and Emma's moved on from Neil, but moving on and watching someone else move on are two different things. So she's a little jealous to see Neil move on. We move on. Yep, Pinocchio failed. Exactly, exactly. Pinocchio failed at being a true person, so he was turning back into wood, and that led into the events of season 1, and also the flashback we received just an episode ago. August met Tamara, stole her money, and, caused him to turn into wood, 'cause he made a lot of sins, but then, as we saw in the last episode, he, made up for it. It turned out Tamara didn't actually have cancer, so forgot to mention that that was revealed. Yep. Luckily, he redeemed himself in Storybrooke, right? Pinocchio. Yeah. When Tamara kills the dragon, yeah, kinda brings us up to speed here. Tamara kills the dragon, and we reveal that Tamara is searching for magic and destroying every little bit of it that's left in the real world. Yep. Reasons yet to be explored, so no spoiling here. But Tamara is very interested in destroying magic in Storybrooke. You'll have to find out why next week, you know. But this is about not about Tamara. This is about Pinocchio's redemption arc here. 2 minutes left of this episode, and then we'll be done. Someone that just left just back home. Yep. Pinocchio redeemed himself, but in the process, he gained amnesia and turned back into a little boy. That was so sad. Yep. August sac August sacrificed doing the right thing in the risk of his own life. The writers just copied what I just said. This is why I shouldn't talk during a special, in case anyone's trying to get re in case anyone's trying to get a summary that they can understand. In case anyone's trying to listen to the summary, I shouldn't talk. Yeah. Light in and dark is powerful force in Storybrooke, Maine. I can quote the specials just as well as the episodes. Anyone who wants to harness its powers, be careful, because magic always comes with a price. Yep, and that wraps up King George's summary. Thank him for the host. He hosted this, and unspeaking of King George, we're not talking about him anymore. We just found out again, just as we did with the last episode we just watched, and as they finished the recap, we just found out that Greg and Tamara are working together, which will lead us into next week's arc, of them trying to destroy magic for 4 episodes. That's a short arc. They're not the best villains of the entire show. They're probably the worst villains, actually. So it's a good thing they didn't give these a half a season, because that would have been probably a boring season to get through for most of you. But luckily, it's only 4 episodes, so just stick with me next week, because the season 2 finale is really good. And I would hate for you to miss that, despite how bad the arc might be. It's a really good arc, though. It's just the plot lines are a little boring. The acting isn't as great, but it is worth watching through because the cliffhanger that season 2 will give us next week is going to lead us into a very good season 3. So if you're not a fan of Greg and Tamara, and and even if you're not a fan of Cora, like I said, some of you might not like season 2 as I do. Don't worry. Stick with us next week and you'll find out where we're going for season 3 after we finish season 2, of course, which that might convey that I understand if you want to watch those episodes on your own time, but so next week we're going to finish season 2, and season 3, trust me, it is probably the best season in most people's opinions. So if you're watching the show for the first time and you weren't really much of a fan of season 2, season 3 really tops season 1 and 2 together. I know that's rare and it's hard to believe, but it does. They somehow upped their game after season 2. They didn't know what they were doing when they did season 2, but then they figured it out after they finished season 2. So anyway, we just got to stick through one more night. We'll have 4 episodes left, episodes 19, 20, 21, and 22 next week. Finish season 2, and then we'll be on to season 3 after my midway vacation. But until next week, you guys have a great night. And look forward to it. It was an awesome special hosted by King George and the writers. You got to meet the writers for the first time. They kind of recapped season 2 for you, and so if you were at all confused during this season and you kind of got lost and you lost yourself in the show, I hope this little special kind of helped you get back on the page with everything. Even though I was talking during it, if it didn't help and it was my fault for talking too much, feel free to watch this special on your own time again when I'm not talking your ear off while we're watching it. I'll try to be more quiet in the future specials. I did pretty good during that first special we did. I'm sorry. But yeah, I'll be more quiet. The next special will appear. The next one's Spontaneous specials when we start season 3. So unlike the first special that we watched in June and we had to wait a whole month and a half for this one, we only have to wait a couple weeks for the next one. So I'll be quiet at the next recap just so you can get just so you can get your summary recap and use the special to help you get back on page of what's going on in the show. Because when you watch the show, not everyone stays on the same page because of how fast paced it is. But 3 arcs in one season, crazy still, right? Anyway, that wraps up for tonight's episodes. Have a great night. Our live stream is officially 3 hours and 24 minutes. Crazy. Well, we always do start 10 minutes early, so it's supposed to be 3 hours and 10, but I'm sorry for going overtime. Instead of a Q&A, it seems like I just spend 15 minutes talking afterwards, and and even when I cancel my Q&A for 4 episodes, we still talk. I may not talk for 15 minutes at the end, but we still talk a lot in between the episodes that add up to 15 minutes. So I'm very sorry I kept you up this late. But if you're still here, I'm happy that you stayed up this late at night. I'm going to sign off now. Have a great night. See you next week. And God be with you till we meet again. I'm going to end Facebook first since that's the one that's not going to stay here forever. Bye, everyone on Facebook. Come on, it's loading. There we go. And then last but not least, which was 3 hours and 25 minutes and 38 seconds for Facebook. And here it's 3 hours and 26 minutes. So even longer. Anyway, bye everyone on YouTube. See you next week for the last 4 episodes of season 2. Bye.